Alfa Insurance Georgia Prep Sports Drive for the GHSA State Title. Today we're going to be joined by two undefeated teams, Calvary Day and Jefferson. They're both 11-0. Calvary Day is number 1 in Class 3A, and then I think Jefferson's around number 3 or 4 in Class 5A. Both teams, I think what stands out about them, great programs last year. I think on paper they both are significantly better on both sides of the ball this year. Calvary Day, I think last time I checked, 5 straight shutouts. And unlike some teams, they aren't going to run up the clock. They could have easily beaten Jackson by more than 54-0, but they rested all their starters. And obviously Jake Merklinger, their quarterback, was perfect in that game, passing the ball. They've also, just looking at the amount of guys contributing, I haven't seen anything like it. It's like 12 different dudes getting carries last game. They got freshmen all over the field on both sides of the ball that are getting quality playing time. I think it's a really special opportunity for them this year. Jake's been a 4-year starter. He's obviously just gotten better and better. And then last year we covered their semifinal matchup against Cedar Grove, and that was when they got ousted in the playoffs. So we'll talk to Coach Stroud in the final segment. Coach Noland, that's Jefferson's coach, he is pressed for time, so I'm going to have to call in, but we'll get him on around 12:30. So I want to start actually talking a little basketball. So on December 2nd, we've been obviously broadcasting football games all year long. I think we're probably at like 26 or maybe closing on 30 so far, and that's not counting the games Najee's been streaming too. So just incredible amounts of football coverage. By the way, all those replays are on our Score YouTube page. You can check them out all the way back to the Corky Kell. But we are going to be getting into basketball on December 2nd. I'm really excited about these matchups. It will be the Corky Kell Dave Hunter basketball classic at Norcross High School. And so the matchups, let me get into them real quick. I think they're going to be very intriguing in terms of an early showcase in the season with programs that have a chance to really make noise this season. And the first one is going to be the Brookwood Broncos against the River Ridge Knights. So Brookwood made history last year. They won the girls' 7A state title for the first time. And then River Ridge won their first ever state title in 6A. Brookwood finished the season with a 24-game win streak. They only lost 1 game last year, and that was to River Ridge, 70-59 on December 2nd, I believe. So that's funny. It's going to be a year to the date. But what to watch for this year in the matchup? So Brookwood lost Deanna Collins. She signed with Ohio State. And then they also lost their junior power forward, Danielle Osho. And let me just check their score last night because they've already played a couple games. River Ridge is going to open its season against Hardaway this week. And so, yeah, Brookwood's gotten off to a slow start. They played Norcross last night. It was a rematch of the championship. And, man, they've got some growing pains. Norcross was a 63-30 winner in that game. So Coach Mincy is going to have to get them back on track. The good news for Brookwood, their games before the big River Ridge matchup, they got Discovery, Decula, Stevenson, Lanier, Josie, and Northside. All tough opponents, but I think they are going to be able to go into that matchup well above 500. River Ridge, when they play Brookwood, I think it's like their 3rd or 4th game of the year. And I talked to River Ridge yesterday about their squad, and I was thoroughly impressed. So one of the players to watch for this year, Finley Parker. She's a 6'2" freshman. So that's a new addition to this team. I think River Ridge has a chance to be the highest rated team out of Georgia this season. Their coach said he's confident they have the best starting 5 in the state. They lost a little depth from last year. They graduated 6 players. They had 3 transfer out, but the key starters are back in the lineup. Sophia Pearl, and then sophomore Michaela Roberson. And what her role is, she guarded the best player on the opposing team last year every single game. She held Deanna Collins in the win last year, I think, to just like 7 or 9 points, which was well below her 22 point per game average. And she's only going to be a sophomore this year. And then what they're looking for her this season, because her offense is dangerous as well, and obviously she's the best defender on the team, but they're looking for her to get to the basket more and do what she does best, which is draw fouls and hurt teams at the free throw line. But Finley Parker, the freshman, they had a scrimmage against Hughes. It was her first ever varsity ball game, and she had 7 blocks, 7 rebounds, and 10 points. And apparently she's already blowing up on the recruiting scene because there's a ton of attention around River Ridge and already picking up SEC attention. So that's the first matchup right there. A battle of champions, River Ridge against Brookwood. Then in the second matchup, you're going to have Lanier, a 6A school, against West Forsyth, 7A school. I think with Lanier this year, they made a tremendous run all the way to the semis last year. They lost by 1 point to Lee County in a heartbreaker. They returned pretty much everyone. Got a big transfer, let's see, with DeAndrew Cohen from Notre Dame Academy, an out-of-state transfer. He's a 6'4", preseason All-State. And then with West Forsyth, they are also returning the bulk of their guards. They got Sam Maynard, Will Moore, 6'6" Chase Damerell, and 6'7" center Quinn Elson. They had a few players transfer out. I think they lost a 7-footer, but that's just the way the basketball landscape is. The number of transfers is absolutely insane. And then last season, West Forsyth fell to state finalist Cherokee 59-45 in the first round. So that's the second matchup. Then we're going to have one more girls matchup, Norcross against Baldwin. And then in the final game, the Norcross boys against the Douglas boys. We'll have all those previews up at scoreatl.com. It's coming up. It's quickly approaching. And the action's going to start early on Saturday. And then afterwards, obviously, you can watch the SEC championship between Georgia and Alabama. So it should be a fun day and just another thing we have coming up. So let's talk a little bit about the matchups for our featured guest today. So Jefferson actually has, I think, one of the premier matchups in the second round. They're going to be playing Hiram. It's a top 10 matchup. Hiram comes out of one of the only regions to sweep its way through the first round. And then what I like about Jefferson and what they're doing ahead of this matchup, they are not overlooking Hiram. Just on their Twitter account right now, they have a get to know your second round opponent, and they point out all the things that Hiram's been able to accomplish this year. They had wins over Dalton by 10. They beat Cass by 20 points. Their roster has 5 Power 5 D1 players, and they've outscored their opponents 452 to 243. As for Jefferson, last season was tough. They lost to Cass in the first round. They also had the tragedy with Elijah DeWitt right before the playoffs started. Just a really tough season for them. So getting the first round win was huge. And then you look at what Jefferson's done a little differently this year. They were more pass oriented last year with Max Aldridge And this year, they're just back to the basics. They are tremendous running the football. Sammy Brown, I think he's at 27 touchdowns already, and they've just been pounding the football. And that will be a very interesting matchup to watch between them and Harlem. Let's go to the 3A previews real quick. All right. So Calvary Day is going to host Thomasville. I thought this was interesting. Thomasville has beaten the last two #1 ranked opponents it's faced. So this would be a rare opportunity to win 3 straight against #1 ranked teams. They beat Raven County and Brooks County both in 2021. That was the last time they played a top-ranked team. In the first round last week, Thomasville beat Harlem 36-29. Very close game. It was 29-all when Thomasville downed a punt at the 7-yard line, recovered a Harlem fumble at the 1, and then scored in the final minute of the game. Thomasville comes out of that tough region with Carver Columbus. All right, Cam Hill was 12 of 15 passing for 240 yards, and that was his highest passing game since the season opener. Cole Shaw had 2 receptions for 152 yards, and Ant Anderson balanced out the offense, 187 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Calvary Day was utterly dominant, put up 48 points in the first half, and as we mentioned, Jake Merklinger was perfect, 13 of 13 passing, 260 yards and 3 touchdowns. The primary target was Caden Arnold, had 127 yards receiving. Some other big games in 3A, which features a lot of rematches from last year's playoffs. You're going to have Oconee County at Lumpkin County. It's a rematch of the first round last year. Oconee County won that game 49-21. They're coming off a big win over Douglas, 28-14 in the first round. And then in that game, Caden Wood rushed for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns and caught 4 passes for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think the strength of Oconee County, though, it's always going to be their defense, and they're going to try to slow down. Let's see. Cal Faulkner, that's Lumpkin County's quarterback. He passed for 178 yards and 2 touchdowns while rushing for 2 scores and 78 yards. Mason Solon's rushed for 126 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he is closing in on 2,000 yards. He's at 1,964, which is currently the 4th most in the state. So that's just what Lumpkin County has been able to accomplish this season. They're 11-0. Coach Heath Webb comes over from Gainesville, and he's got them playing outstanding. To be a big win that would put them into the quarterfinals. All right, Savannah Christian is coming off a thriller against Peach County, the 4 overtime win, 48-46, and they're going to play at Morgan County, who's 10-1 right now. Let's see. And there was a little controversy in that game. I think they said Peach County celebrated a 4th down stop inside the 1-yard line, but officials huddled and ruled that Savannah Christian had called a timeout. Savannah Christian then scored on the next play. Blaze Thomas passed for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kenry Wall had 138 yards from scrimmage and 2 touchdowns on 18 touches. Zoe Smalls rushed for 83 yards and 3 scores on 25 carries. As for Morgan County, they beat Monroe 35-14, ending a 7-game losing streak in first-round games. The other team that broke a big streak was Westminster. They had lost 6 straight first-round games. All right, one of the few number 4 seeds that won last week, Gilmer with head coach Paul Standard. They come from a strong region with Lumpkin County, with Wesleyan, with White County. They're going to travel to Monroe area this week, and Monroe area dethroned Sandy Creek 24-21 with a walk-off field goal last week. So that should be another tough matchup for Gilmer against Monroe area after knocking off the defending state champs. Gilmer has not made the quarterfinals since 1956. That represents the most seasons without a quarterfinal berth out of any team currently still in the playoffs. All right, Carver Columbus, the team we mentioned 2 years ago, they were in the Class 4A state finals where they lost to Benedictine. Now they're in 3A. They lost a heartbreaker last year in the playoffs to Oconee County, and then this year I think they have a chance to make a deep run. It's a rematch of the 2022 first-round game with Upson Lee. Carver won that one 39-0. Upson Lee has doubled its victory total this season while allowing half the points it did in 2022. Big turnaround season. They beat Savannah Country Day 46-45 last round, scoring 3 touchdowns and 3 two-point conversions in the fourth quarter to crawl back from a 45-22 deficit. Jaquan Bentley rushed for 91 yards, giving him 1,400 on the season, but the biggest offensive performance came from sophomore Nika Wells, who passed for a school record 346 yards and 3 touchdowns. In only a second season of playing quarterback at any level, Wells had never thrown more than 159 yards in a game. So that must have been total game planning right there. And then Carver beat Richmond Academy 40-2 last week, seeks its 4th straight quarterfinal berth. Jacoby Hunter was 12 of 17 passing for 245 yards and 3 touchdowns. So Carver Columbus is 8-3, and if you remember, one of those losses was a game I feel like they should have won. So one against Brookwood. They had a huge lead on them. Brookwood was able to come back. They got an onside kick and then had a walk-off field goal to win it. And so their record is very impressive and team to watch in Class 3A. Let's go ahead. We'll take a quick break. Thank our sponsors. We'll be back on the other side.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me. Can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands and proper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me. Can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands and proper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
All right, welcome back. So I want to cover some of the Gwinnett results from the first round that we didn't get into on Monday. Starting with Peachtree Ridge, they're going to play Mill Creek this next round. They secured their first 10-win season since 2009. They were in that 3-way tie with Norcross and North Gwinnett for the region title. Now they're going to Mill Creek. The big takeaway from this one, though, I want to give credit to sophomore quarterback Darnell Kelly. In this game, in their first-round victory, they were without Miles Abernathy. That's their top receiver, one of the best receivers in the state. He got injured in the season finale against Duluth. So you have a sophomore quarterback, a big-time playoff matchup against Lambert, a tough football team, well-coached, and definitely highly motivated to make a playoff run. And he found a way, played outstanding, had a 22-yard scramble at the end of the third quarter to then set up a big 38-yard touchdown. He was responsible for both of the Lions' touchdowns in the game, finished with 18 of 27 passing, 197 yards and a touchdown, also rushed for a score. So getting it done without your top target, certainly impressive. Coach Helmrich said after the game, we talked all offseason about starting fast. Last year we did not do that, and we had to dig ourselves out of a hole almost every week. And he's saying that has not been the case this year. They've been able to come out strong in every game. Lambert tried to mount a big comeback, but they were unable to. And then Coach Helmrich also said, I thought this was interesting. He said Lambert ran more screens than any team I've coached against in 21 years of coaching. That's what he said after the game. He goes, you name it, they run it. That was 35 to 40% of their offense. So we worked really hard to take that away in the first quarter. It kind of forced them to do some stuff they didn't want to do, and we played really well. We gave up a silly touchdown there at the end, but the kids played hard and made some plays. So Lambert, they ran a lot of screens. Mill Creek this week, that's not going to be their game plan. They're going to use Cam Robinson and try to run and methodically win, which has been what they've been doing all season long. They don't beat themselves, and they're confident in that run game. All right, let's look at the Buford win over Wheeler, 50-0. I think Wheeler's a talented team. They've got one of the best backs in the state. They had a halftime lead on Walton just the week before, and so that's a really impressive 50-0 win by Buford. And in that game, I think Dylan Raiola had an outstanding night doing it with his legs and the passing game. Let's see what his final stats were. He was 12 of 15 in the first half with 218 yards. Sat the second half. Bolden had 5 receptions for 128 yards. I think Raiola also rushed for a score. So he played fantastic. All right, let's move on to the Archer Valdosta game. Valdosta looked really strong in that one, 41-16 victory. They've got an intriguing matchup heading into the next round, but I thought that was pretty impressive offensive performance by Valdosta. Let's see. And then they were able to shut down Archer's playmakers. All right, in the Norcross game, A.J. Watkins, he's been the hero for them all season. He did it once again in a 34-10 win. He had 4 touchdowns. Coach Maluk said afterwards, you just can't say enough about A.J., what he's done over the last 3.5 years for the school. He's one of the special talents that will come around every once in a while. I'm just really proud of him and how he's handled himself. If you watched our North Gwinnett game, he was phenomenal. Just breaking off huge runs in that first half, and he definitely was not the reason they lost that game, to say the least. It was more the defensive woes in the second half. But A.J. Watkins, how many times has he just done it all and led Norcross to victories this season? It's been pretty impressive. All right, Mountain View, they went up against Walton in the first round. They fell 66-7, and that one was a 59-0 game at the half. So as impressive as Buford was in its win, I think Walton also sent a message with that 59-0 lead. And then I have I'm going to pull up the Cedar Grove one. All right, I had all these pulled up, and then the Gwinnett Daily Post released a basketball preview of every team, and now it just pushed it back like 10 pages. on one sec. Okay. Well, anyway, Cedar Grove was up on Hebron. They couldn't close out the game, though. Hebron caught its way back. And that's a Hebron team. They are talented, but they had to replace their quarterback, Gavin Hall. He's now at Gainesville this year playing running back. So a little concerning if you're a Cedar Grove fan. You'd expect them, just after all the tough competition they played this year, to come out a little stronger, but they got the win nonetheless, and we will see how they fare in the next round. But let's go ahead. Let's see if Coach Noland is ready to go. Hey, Coach, can you hear me? All right, awesome. We'll go live right now. All right, so we're joined by Jefferson head coach Travis Noland. You got a big matchup in the second round. I saw you guys were just talking about this Hiram team. Obviously, you guys aren't going to underestimate their talent, but what stands out about it to you?
They're just in ways in so many places. I mean, they don't have a weak spot on their team. They got unbelievable team speed and size, and they're playing really good football right now.
That's right, and I mean, when they come out of a region as talented as they were in, I mean, sometimes you're just gonna come out with a loss, and then we saw them when they're really clicking. It looks like they can really match up with anyone. What do you feel like just about their offense and what you've seen from their overall balance and just the explosive capability?
Yeah, they score really quick, and they led the state in scoring for most of the season, and they got multiple weapons. They got a huge tight end, they got a big time receiver, they've got two really good backs. The quarterback can hurt you, and they got two power five offensive linemen. So offensively, they're as good as anybody in the state, and defensively, they're very sound and play extremely hard. So it's a tough matchup for sure.
And then in terms of your offense, it looks like this year you guys have been able to have a lot more success running the matchups late in the season.
He's played well. Gavin's a really good player, and I guess you don't get a lot of credit when you run the ball, like we do, but he's done the things that we've needed him to do in every single game to make the plays that need to be made, and he's a really good quarterback that's helped our team be successful. But we don't get a whole lot of credit for who and what we are. We understand that because it's not flashy or sexy in today's world of football, but we try to just be good at what we do, and he along with a lot of other players on our team do a good job of executing the things that we try to do.
Yep, and in the last round, he was 8 of 15, had a season high 4 touchdowns, and then obviously if your quarterback's throwing that efficiently, the offensive line's doing a great job. So, I mean, how's the pass protection been, and just how's that group just set out to dominate week in and week out?
Yeah, our offensive line's played well all year, and we try to have enough within our offensive package that the team we played last week had 9 people in the box and was sold out to stopping the run, and so we do have the ability to throw it, and Gavin made some great throws, and our guys made some great catches, and we had a big night throwing the football, and it's sort of who we are. It's whatever the defense gives us. They can't stop everything, we feel like, but a team like Hiram can. They're so talented that it's going to be really tough.
And then Zay Manish, senior receiver, he's really stepped up for you. What's he brought to the table?
He's the most experienced receiver we've got in the program. They ran the option here for 6 years, and so our wideouts have been a work in progress for 2 years, and they've all really improved throughout the course of the season. And, we're excited about some of our young receivers and where we might can go offensively in the future. But right now, Zay has really played well the last 2 games especially.
Yeah, and then obviously Sammy Brown, it's his senior season. You don't get an opportunity to coach a kid like that. I just feel weird even calling him a kid. He is a full-grown man, but what's it been like this season, just having him, his leadership, everything he can do on both sides of the football?
It's different than him and a lot of players is he brings it every single day. He doesn't just show up on Friday night and try to play, or he doesn't hold anything back. He works hard every single play of every single practice, and he plays that way, and that bleeds over into our other guys. When your best player is your hardest worker, then the other younger players and players around him want to work just as hard because they know that he's going to bring it every day, and he does, and he provides great leadership in that process.
And then defensively, what have you seen from that side of the ball? Looks like this last round you guys produced a ton of sacks, playing and rotating a lot of guys, but how have they just grown throughout the season?
Well, our defense has just been solid all season. We're not ultra talented on that side of the ball, but our coaches do an unbelievable job of trying to give us a chance to be successful. And they've had a really good game plan for the last couple of weeks. But again, Hiram is a 3-headed animal that they can run it, they can throw it, they can the kicking game, they can score, they can score on any play. And, we don't have a ton of overall team speed, so it's going to be a huge challenge for us this week.
And a guy that stands out looks like junior Rhett Hill. Just kind of embodies that homegrown Jefferson talent. What have you seen from him? Just big role.
He's just a tough kid. He's been playing with a broken thumb here for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and he just he is a typical Jefferson kid that loves football and loves everything about football, and he works hard at it. He tends to make a lot of plays for us, and we got a lot of guys that are probably not good enough to start for a lot of people, but they really take pride in putting that diamond J on the side of their helmet. They play extremely hard for this community and for each other.
Yep, and then you've made a lot of deep playoff runs, finals appearances. What do you just see from this group in terms of their motivation, focus each day at practice, and just hunger to make it to that final game?
Yeah, I don't know that we have the talent on paper to be a Final Four team or anything like that, but I know they've been an unbelievable group to coach, and they've been very consistent in how they work every day, and they genuinely care about each other. And so, up to this point, they've played good football because of those things. And when you get into the playoffs, the teams you play are ultra talented, and this is one of those weeks that I don't know if we have enough bullets in the gun, but we will fire the bullets that we got and give it everything we can and see what happens.
Awesome. Well, Coach, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate the time. Best of luck this Friday.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right.
All
right, so there goes Coach Noland. So he's kind of downplaying how successful Jefferson's been this year. They're undefeated. It looks like they're rock solid on both sides of the ball. They've been cruising to victories. Mentioned all the different guys involved. And just when you have a guy like Sammy Brown, probably the strongest guy in the entire state. He is a state champion in track also. He's a state champion wrestler every single year since his freshman season. He's wrestling in the 285-pound weight class too. He won state, I think, at the 225, and then, hey, why not? Let's just go in the heavyweight division. When you have a guy like that you can rely on in special teams, running the ball on key third downs, anchoring the defense, that is just invaluable. I think he's obviously an X factor. He gives the entire team confidence, just a truly special player. I think that's just the key ingredient to Jefferson. Obviously, these other guys are balling out as well. I mentioned their receiver, Manish. he's having a big role. 8 touchdowns this season. The quarterback threw 4 scores last game. But I just think Sammy Brown's phenomenal, and he is going to give them a chance in every single game. He's been a 4-year starter and just been getting it done every single year. But that's it. We'll take one more quick break, and we'll be joined on the other side by Coach Stroud.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
All right, welcome back. So we'll wait for Coach Stroud to get on. Let's just look at the Calvary Day resume. So they have made it to the quarterfinals each of the last 3 seasons. They're looking to make it 4 straight this Friday. Since 2016, they've had 6 quarterfinals appearance, 1 semifinal appearance. They made it to the state finals in 2013, and all this with Coach Stroud at the helm. He got there in 2008 and has led them to the playoffs every single season since 2010. They've notched double-digit win seasons 10 times over that span. Were perfect in the regular season the last 3 seasons, and so this year it's kind of been culminating. They returned their signal caller with Jake Merklinger. He's been the 4-year starter, and it's just what it impresses me is that defense. We have him. Hey, Coach Stroud, how's it going?
Good, man. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Thank you so much for coming on. I know people are really excited about what you guys have brought to Class 3A this year. What did you see, just the way you guys handled business in that first round?
Well, I'll tell you, it's, you never know exactly what you're going to run into. You get teams that you don't know very much about. Jackson is, they were young. Coach is trying to do a really good job with them up there, but they're still a little bit, maybe a year away. They're just now, but they have some good-looking kids, and we saw them on film. And early in the season, boy, they looked really good at times, and they at times they looked like they were young. So we were able to kind of get out on them quick and score quick, and I think that was really critical to the game. Our defense played very well and played very fast on defense, which was encouraging. So overall, I thought our kids played really hard, and we're able to get ahead. And when you get ahead in a situation like that, when a team's been a little bit down, it can be a little different. I think kind of that. What's it?
Yeah, and then you guys, I mentioned how phenomenal you guys have been these last 3 years, the perfect regular seasons, but seems like this year, after the loss in the semis, your guys came out on a mission. There's one goal. You guys aren't trying to run up the clock on anyone. You're trying to get the win and get to the final. So talk about just the day-to-day motivation and focus from your team to make this year special.
Yeah, I think our guys realized, even last year's game that, that we weren't that far away. That game kind of got away from us with City Grove. I think our guys, came over to that game feeling like, hey, we can compete and through this, at the end possibly. And so it was both an encouragement. We got beat pretty good in that game before it was over. We felt like it probably was a 14-point game, but it got away from us at the end, and probably good that it did, because we came back and reflected really hard on what we got to do to get better, and how do we move forward to compete at that level. And so we've been working to that end. And so it was an encouragement to us that we felt like we could really play there, but also, a good chance to really deep dive into ourselves and figure out what we got to do to get better and play possibly at the very end in AAA.
Yeah, and what are some of the things that you guys are continuing to try to sharpen late into the season, just after racking up all these big wins? What are some areas you guys are still trying to focus on?
Well, we're a different team than we were last year because we don't have quite as many, I guess you'd say, Power 5 type guys. Or we got one guy over there that's a Power 5 guy, and then we got a lot of guys that just are really playing really hard and are good football players. And so it's a little different there. I think a little bit more of a no-name defense. But I feel like we're playing really, really well together. We're playing really hard, really fast on defense. And it's a very unified group and a group that's just, is rallying to the ball all the time, and they're very physical group. So our defense staff has done a good job, I think, in really creating that climate and, just kind of coaching guys hard every day. So I think defensively, we're a little different but maybe even better defensively. And offensively, when you got Jake's coming back as a 4-year starter, and he's got some weapons around him that can make some plays. So when you got a guy like that can do some things, it opens up the playbook for you. It opens up some opportunities for you that maybe you couldn't do without an experienced quarterback. So that's been very beneficial to us. Offensive line's come a long ways. We only returned really full time from last year. So those guys have, we've had 2 or 3 guys at a time working with the offensive line all year long, and we've been pressed into trying to get those guys better. And I think they have progressed a great deal, and I think that's been a real key for us.
Absolutely. And just this last game, what stands out, you guys are using so many people in the backfield, a lot of different targets offensively. So how has that been kind of different this year to previous years, where you're just able to rotate a lot of guys in, they understand the game plan, and they can just plug and play?
Losing you a little bit out here.
All right, Coach,
Hang on one second. Might be losing you just a little bit.
Coach, can you hear me?
Running backs.
Yeah, running backs. Just how many different guys?
Yeah, I'm trying to get where I can
guys.
get a better signal with you here. You good?
Yep.
You hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
I'm kind of losing you a little bit. You got me now?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get where I can hear you a little better. I don't know where that's. Maybe walk outside. It might be better outside. Apologize.
Yeah, just cut to me real quick. All right, so in this last game, it's pretty incredible. You had Edward Coleman a carry. Caden Arnold, it's a big receiver. He took a carry. Caden Jones, freshman, 5 carries. Jordan Tillman, 5 carries. No player took more than 5 carries, and they had 10 different guys running the football. And then same sort of deal with the receiving core. You had Edward Coleman, game-high 7 catches. Caden Arnold, game-high 127 yards. Both of them scored touchdowns. And then 4 different dudes, 1 reception apiece, and then a touchdown by Strobridge. So they're really spreading the ball out well. Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
Yeah. We had a couple of guys. Excuse me?
You're good. Yeah.
So, I think we it's kind of been a running back by committee this year, which has been kind of good for us, honestly. It's, whoever gets hot. So, you got to do some of the things we're asking in that game plan to do. You got to protect really well with pass protection. And so it really ends up being who gets hot. And, kind of what we're trying to do during a particular drive or sometimes we'll dictate who's in the game, kind of what we're trying to, get accomplished, and how much that back does that well during a drive. And so we have quite a few guys that can help us on the perimeter, passing game think last week, Mike didn't play last week. Our tight end did not play, Mike Smith. And then also, early in the game, Thomas Blackshear got banged up early in the game, so we kind of got him out of there early as well. So, yeah, I mean, being able to get a lot of people involved in the passing game and also in the running game, which has been really encouraging for us. I mean, to see a lot of guys contribute. They know that kind of if somebody's down, then we're in a good situation. We do have quite a few skilled guys that can play. So when one guy's down, you feel like another guy. You just got to step in there. We want you to perform at a high level. So that's fortunate. Sometimes you got more linemen than you do skilled guys. Sometimes you got more skilled guys than you do linemen. So this year we just happen to have more skilled guys overall than we do offensive linemen that can actually play. So it's been good and encouraging.
Yeah, and Jake's obviously a 4-year starter. So from a coaching standpoint, have you found it, I guess, more enjoyable just in the lead up to games, knowing you have a quarterback that understands the playbook by now, and then you guys can really work in all these different contributors? They've made an impact on the field, so they're motivated to stay focused at practice. Just how has that experience just helped make practice and preparation more enjoyable?
I missed most of that question. I apologize. It's just kind of a little bit of a bad
it sounds a little loud
here.
No, how has it been more enjoyable?
Just Let me try to get you again. Go ahead.
As a coach, like, how has it been more enjoyable having the offense where these guys? Man, it's loud in there.
I'm not getting your question. I'm sorry.
All right, can you hear me now?
Try it again. I got you now.
Okay. I was saying, with a 4-year starter and then all these different guys that are getting valuable playing time, how has that made practice more enjoyable, knowing that you guys can really just focus in on the game plan and be more creative and just not have to worry about kind of breaking guys into it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been good. Like I said, when you get a quarterback that's been a 4-year starter and he also is a really good player, it makes you do some things. You can make some small adjustments on the fly. You can also, that doesn't take tons and tons of practice to get done. Just some subtle changes. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's understanding now that what makes practice fresh and good is because everybody's one play away from being on the field. That mix, and we have a lot of guys in that mix, so they realize, I've got to be locked into the game plan. My number might get called at any time. I mean, Amari Drew is one of those guys who's really a first-year player. He's a senior, but he transferred in. He was ineligible last year, so he's had to play receiver at times. He's played defensive back a lot, and he stepped in to perform really well. So everybody knows that. It's just good fortune again. We got some good skill guys but those guys have got to be on ready. And, you got to know what's going on because you might be the next guy called up, which makes practice go really well. A lot of competition in practice, a lot of they're just kind of locked into what's going on.
I can imagine. And then let's just talk about your opponent. You guys are going to play Thomasville. They've been outstanding, battle-tested. What stands out about that matchup?
Well, we think they're a really, really good team. I mean, you look at their losses, all of them are two. I think there's only one team they lost to. Got knocked out of the playoffs last week. That was Hiram. Everybody else they lost to is a higher classification or still, into the playoffs. So, they're a good football team. They're well coached. They run the ball very effectively. They got some good weapons. I think they're sound defensively. So, it's going to be. I mean, I think they're as good a team as we played all year, so they will be definitely a great test and a great matchup for us. So, we're excited about it, but we talked to our guys all year about, just hey, you want to play freely. You don't want to go in there uptight or just really you want to play very, very calm in the chaos of the game. If you do that, you can at least perform at the highest level, and everyone can play. The game the way it's supposed to be played. That's without, fear of failure, not being uptight. We're looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great game, a great matchup. And hopefully come out of it.
Awesome. Well, Coach Stroud, thank you so much for the time today. Best of luck this Friday. Hope to see you guys deep in the playoffs.
Hey, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right. So there goes Coach Stroud. And, man, it was a little loud over there. But, yeah, so they're going to play Thomasville. On the bottom of their quadrant, you got Stevens County and Wesleyan. So they'll play the winner of that one. Up top, this would be a potential semifinal matchup. You got Crisp County against Mary Persons, and then Bremen against Cedar Grove. I think Crisp County is a really hot team out of Region 1. They got the 2 seed above Thomasville. Carver Columbus, the number 1 seed. Then on the other side of the 3A bracket, matchups we already talked about, you got Oconee County against Lumpkin County, a rematch from last year's first round. Savannah Christian against Morgan County, and then number 4 seed Gilmer at number 3 seed Monroe area after the Purple Hurricanes road win over Sandy Creek. And then Upson Lee is going to be at Carver Columbus. So I think 3A, you could argue it was competitive last year, but it seemed like Cedar Grove was just running away with it. This year it looks a little different. Cedar Grove still, I think, the team that's going to get consideration as the favorite, but it's a lot deeper. It looks a lot different, and we saw tons of upsets already in the first round. So I think you're going to see some interesting contests. I think the Crisp County Mary Persons game will be very interesting. I might try to get Crisp County on the show on Friday. But that's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock with Keeping It Real with Najee Wilkins. I'm going to have the boys basketball rankings up at Score ATL today. We'll have the girls up as well. And then previews of the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.